My dear friends, colleagues, and fans, my physicians have recently told me I may have a neurological disorder whose symptoms are consistent with Alzheimer's disease.
In his final days, the famous Ben Hur actor Charlton Heston made a shocking statement that stunned everyone. His words carried immense weight and sent chills down many times as they were a testament to his enduring legacy. It was surprising to hear the iconic actor speak this way. Who would have imagined that this was what he would face in his final days? But what exactly did he say before bidding the world goodbye? Join us as we uncover the story behind Charlton Heston's final words. Charlton Heston, final words. "From my cold, dead hands" was one of Charlton Heston's most famous lines, delivered during the National Rifle Association convention where he served as president.
From my cold, dead hands.
While this statement is still remembered to this day, it wasn't the most powerful thing he ever said. Heston made another unforgettable statement, one that would become his final words before stepping away from the spotlight. Stay tuned as we explore Charlton's final words. Most people today may not know Charlton Heston, but he was one of Hollywood's iconic actors who left a profound impact in both film and stage plays. Yet, when he released his video, no one had expected the words he said. My dear friends, colleagues, and fans, my physicians have recently told me I may have a neurological disorder whose symptoms are consistent with Alzheimer's disease. So, I wanted to prepare a few words for you now, because when the time comes, I may be unable to. This simple yet profound announcement was unexpected and heartbreaking. Charlton Heston, a man who had spent decades captivating audiences on the big screen with his mind-blowing roles, was now admitting that he had Alzheimer's disease, a disease with no cure. Alzheimer's disease is a known neurological disorder that affects memory, thinking, learning, and the ability to carry out basic daily activities. For Heston, this meant goodbye to the stage, to acting, and to all the roles that had defined his life, such as being able to remember names or recall scripts. As heartbreaking as it sounded, Heston stated that he has lived his whole life on the stage and screen before us. He has found purpose and meaning in our response. For an actor, there's no greater loss than the loss of his audience. According to him, he can part the Red Sea, but he can't part with us, which is why he won't exclude us from this stage in his life. Heston reflected on his career with an appreciation for those he had worked with and the fans who supported him. He even joked about his iconic role where he played Moses in the Ten Commandments, where he famously parted the Red Sea. However, he promised to keep the public updated on the final stage of his life, as he dealt with the incurable Alzheimer's disease. He also went on to say he wasn't changing anything in his final days, vowing to continue working for as long as he could, as he asked his fans not to feel sorry for him as he wasn't giving up. He said that he is still the fighter doctor King, JFK, and Ronald Reagan knew, but he also knows that every fight must come to an end. Just like his acting days came to an end, Heston ended his statement by quoting Shakespeare's The Tempest, saying, "We are such stuff, as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep." These words marked Charlton Heston's farewell to Hollywood, as he kissed the screens goodbye and retired from the public to battle Alzheimer's with support from his family. Heston's recorded statement was reminiscent of Ronald Reagan's "Sunset of My Life" letter, in which he revealed to the American public that he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Heston's video generated a lot of sympathy from the public. Many applauded him for going public with the information. It is believed Heston announced his health diagnosis to avoid the spread of rumors. But what happened next after his announcement? Stay tuned to find out. Charlton Heston final interview. In December 2002, a few months after Heston's announcement, Heston decided to participate in an interview with Peter Jennings on ABC. But he didn't do this alone. He came along with his wife Lydia, and they talked about the hardships that came with aging and Heston's most cherished role. Interestingly, when Heston was asked about his favorite movie role, he said Western Will Penny, where he played the role of Will Penny, an aging cowboy forced to be dependent on others. This choice deeply reflected some of Heston's struggles with aging and his battle with Alzheimer's disease. This interview with Jennings gave the public a last glimpse of Heston's life before he passed away. During the interview with Peter Jennings, Charlton Heston puts up a strong front as the resilient man he was, appearing to be unbothered or pitiful about his health issues. However, his wife, Lydia, shared some heartfelt insights on her favorite things about her husband. Lydia spoke about her husband's kindness, stating that although he portrayed a different image to the public as a strong and commanding figure, behind the scenes, he was a gentle, loving man to his family. Interestingly, this was similar to Heston's favorite role, Will Penny, where the aging Penny had to depend on Catherine, a woman who saved his life after he got shot. Eventually, Penny finds himself embracing Catherine and her son as their own. This was similar to Heston, an aging husband and father who would soon face the harsh reality that his Alzheimer's disease would rob him of the ability to even remember his family. While Charlton Heston told Jennings that he was not scared of his diagnosis, he admitted he was worried about his wife and the rest of his family when he eventually deteriorated. This statement sheds more light on why Heston's favorite role was Will Penny. In the movie Western Will Penny, when Penny meets Catherine, he feels an ultimate weakness in his old age because he can't take care of a younger family in the years to come, as he knows he will die soon. Therefore, Penny rejected Catherine's offer to start a new life together in California, stating that love wasn't enough to get them through cold winters or put the food on the table. He feared what would happen when he died and left them behind. On the other hand, Heston and Lydia's love was more than enough for them, as they had spent 64 years of their lives together, overcoming the various hardships of marriage together, unlike Penny, who was scared of following the women to be loved. Similarly, both Penny and Heston share a deep vulnerability from the lack of control over their future, and were assisted through their weaknesses unconditionally by women in their lives. Additionally, in the movie, Penny displayed the ways a man's weakness becomes emphasized in love. He couldn't take care of Catherine. Likewise, in the interview, Jennings captured the ways Heston's Alzheimer's diagnosis was more devastating for the family than for him as an individual. Therefore, it wasn't surprising that Heston chose Will Penny as his most cherished role, as it reflected his struggle with aging, vulnerability, and love. Although Charlton Heston kept a strong front, he knew that as he grew older and suffered from Alzheimer's disease, the future was uncertain. Heston's interview marked his final interview as he retreated into privacy to deal with his illness. As the years passed, Charlton Heston's Alzheimer's disease progressed very rapidly. In 2005, family and friends were shocked by the severity of his illness. It was so reported that Heston sometimes struggled to get out of bed. But it didn't get better as the year progressed. By the end of the year, Heston's disease had reached an advanced stage, which made his family worry that he would not survive the year. However, Charlton Heston survived, but his health worsened. Sadly, on the morning of April 5, 2008, exactly 5 years and 4 months after Heston announced Alzheimer's diagnosis, Charlton Heston passed away at the age of 84 from complications of Alzheimer's. Pneumonia. He died at his Beverly Hills home with Lydia by his side. This marked the end of an extraordinary, iconic Hollywood star, Charlton Heston.
Actor Charlton Heston died at his home in Beverly Hills last night. He was 84. Brooke Anderson has more now on Heston's life.
However, before Heston's passing, he had done some extraordinary performances in Hollywood, which gave him a name in the Hollywood Hall of Fame. Stay tuned as we uncover Charlton Heston's remarkable journey in Hollywood. The rise of Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston was born John Charles Carter on October 4, 1923, in Cook County, Illinois, to Russell and Lilla Carter. Heston hailed from a Scottish descent from the clan Fraser. His father worked as a sawmill operator, participating in his family's construction business. When Heston was a young child, his parents moved to Michigan, a rural, heavily forested part of the state, where Heston lived an isolated yet idyllic childhood, spending much of his time hunting and fishing in the woods. However, his parents divorced when Heston was 10 years old, and his mother remarried shortly. She took Heston and his two siblings with him, Lilla and Alan, to Wilmette, Illinois. Following Heston's mother's marriage, Heston's surname was changed as they adopted the surname of their stepfather, Chester Heston. Heston and his siblings attended New Trier High School, a school that later became the high school for movie stars like Rock Hudson and Anne Margaret. Heston recalled that when they moved to Chicago, he was more of a loner. While the other kids talked about girls and came from rich homes, he felt odd. Heston describes himself as a skinny hick from the wood. While in high school, Heston discovered his passion for acting. He enrolled in the school drama program and got his first acting role in the amateur silent film adaptation of Peer Gynt, directed by film activist David Bradley, and released in 1941. Heston played the lead role in the movie. He also joined the Winnetka Community Theater, where his dedication to acting earned him a drama scholarship to Northwestern University to pursue his dreams of becoming an actor. He attended college from 1941 to 1943, where he met Lydia Clark, his future wife, in Fundamentals of Theater class. Upon setting his eyes on Lydia, Heston decided he was going to marry her, but it wasn't love at first sight. But as they worked together on stage, Lydia eventually warmed up to him and they began dating. Shortly after graduation in 1994, Heston married his college sweetheart, Lydia Marie Clark. That same year, he had a change in career as he left acting to join the military in World War II. Heston enlisted in the United States Army Air Forces and served for 2 years as a radio operator and aerial gunner in the Alaskan Aleutian Islands with the 77th Bombardment Squadron of the 11th Air Force. He served with distinction and reached the rank of Staff Sergeant. After the war, Heston and Lydia moved to New York, where they worked as models. However, Heston decided to resume his acting roles. His first significant stage role came in 1947 in a Broadway product of Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, starring Katharine Cornell. In 1949, he also played Mark Antony in an independent film adaptation of Julius Caesar. In the following year, he made his first film debut as film producer Hal B. Wallace. Noticed his unique acting skills and offered him a contract. In 1950, Heston made his first professional movie appearance with a leading role at age 26 in Dark City, a film produced by Hal Wallace. However, Heston's breakthrough came in 1952, when he played the role of a circus manager in Cecil B. DeMille's The Greatest Show on Earth. The film was a massive success, as it became the most popular movie in 1952, earning the Best Picture award by the Motion Picture Academy. This paved the way for Charlton Heston to star in various films like The Savage, where he played the role of a white man raised by Indians, The President's Lady, Arrowhead, and Naked Jungle, among others. Heston's ability to bring his character to love with his commanding presence made him a favorite among audiences in the 1950s, and he was Billy Wilder's first choice to play Sefton in Stalag 17. However, the role was given to William Holden, who won an Oscar for it. Meanwhile, Heston became very famous in 1956 after playing the role of Moses in the biblical epic, The Ten Commandments. Heston was chosen by the director Cecil B.D. Mile, who thought Heston had a striking resemblance to Michelangelo's statue of Moses. The movie became one of the greatest successes of all time and is the 8th highest-grossing film adjusted for inflation. Heston embodied the Moses role so well that he earned praises from film critics, including The Hollywood Reporter, who described him as splendid, handsome, and princely, and human in the scenes dealing with him as a young man, and majestic and terrible as his role demands it. But that's not all. The New York Daily News also applauded his performance, stating that he was remarkably effective as both the young, princely Moses and as the patriarchal savior of his people. Heston's performance earned him his first-ever nomination for the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor. Although The Ten Commandments brought him closer to the spotlight, it wasn't the movie that cemented his stardom. Keep watching as we unveil more about Charlton Heston's rise to fame, with more producers noticing Heston. After the extraordinary performance in The Ten Commandments, directors and film producers began to notice Charlton Heston, and, in 1959, an opportunity arose that changed the fate of this career. In 1959, over 3 major stars, including Marlon Brando, Burt Lancaster, and Rock Hudson, turned down the lead role in Ben Hur, a story of betrayal, revenge, and redemption set in ancient Rome. However, when Charlton Heston was offered the offer, he accepted it. He delivered an extraordinary performance that won him the Academy Award for Best Actor, contributing to one of the 11 Oscars the film had won. Heston later starred in other notable films like Diamond Head, Peking, El Cid, The Warlord, and Khartoum. One unique characteristic of Heston was that beyond the screen, he enjoyed acting on the stage. He believed performing in stage plays revivified him as an actor. He considered himself to be a Shakespearean actor and played several of William Shakespeare's most challenging roles. For instance, he played Sir Thomas More in A Man for All Seasons, a title role in Macbeth, and Mark Antony in both Julius Caesar and Antony and Cleopatra. During the 1970s, Heston continued to make himself a name with back-to-back movie hits like Skyjacked, Soylent Green, Earthquake, and Airport. He also worked on projects his son produced, such as The Awakening and Mother Lode, though the latter was a movie disappointment. However, before Heston's passing, he made a memorable appearance in Tim Burton's remake of Planet of the Apes in 2001, playing the role of an elderly, dying chimpanzee. To mark his final role, he played the role of Yosef Mengele in Rua Alguem 5555. Charlton Heston had made himself a star in the theater and film industry as he was a passionate, committed, hard-working actor with a unique voice, which landed him other roles like a film narrator. He was the narrator's voice in the opening scenes of Armageddon and Disney's Hercules. Reflecting on Heston's acting career, he once said, "I can't remember a time when I didn't want to be an actor." Charlton Heston appeared in over 100 films during the 60 years of his acting career, earning several awards and recognition for his extraordinary performances. These included the Cecil B. DeMille Award, the Screen Actors Guild Life Achievement Award for his extraordinary leadership, an honorary recognition at Kennedy Center Honors, and the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But it wasn't only Charlton who excelled in acting. His wife, Lydia Clark, also found success in acting. She also starred in several movies alongside Heston, like The Greatest Show on Earth, Will Penny, and Mother Lode, their son's project. Heston and Lydia were more like the Hollywood power couple, excelling in stage and screen performance. However, it wasn't just acting Heston was committed to. He was also committed to politics and became a popular political activist. Let's take a look at some of his works in politics. Charlton Heston's political activism. Heston was strongly involved in various political activism as he was about acting. One of his memorable moments off-screen was during his tenure as president of the National Rifle Association, NRA, an association that supported gun rights. At the 2000 NRA convention, he famously raised a rifle over his head and declared, "You can have my guns when you take them from my cold, dead hands." He made this statement during a rally to show his support for gun rights. It was, however, surprising to see Charlton Heston act this way. Wondering why? Keep watching to find out. Heston's stance on gun rights was surprising to many, because in 1963, after President John F. Kennedy was assassinated, Charlton Heston campaigned for stricter use of guns. He publicly supported the Gun Control Act of 1968, alongside fellow Hollywood stars like Kirk Douglas, Gregory Peck, and James Stewart. Heston was a strong advocate for gun laws, speaking passionately about stricter use to prevent violence. In 1984, 2 weeks after Senator Robert Kennedy's assassination, Heston appeared on The Joey Bishop Show saying, "This bill is no mystery. Let's be clear about it. Its purpose is simple and direct. It is not to deprive the sportsman of his hunting gun or the marksman of his target rifle. Nor would it deny to any responsible citizen his constitutional right to own a firearm. It is to prevent the murder of Americans." However, he later changed his stance on gun ownership and supported the use of guns, after being elected as the president of the National Rifle Association, admitting that he had made political mistakes in the 1960s by supporting the ban on guns. After becoming the National Rifle Association president, Heston was vocal in his support of gun use. He spoke against any proposed measure of restricting gun ownership, including a mandatory 5-day waiting period on handgun purchases to a limit of 1 gun purchase a month, and the 1994 ban on assault weapons. However, following his declining health, he retired as the president of the National Rifle Association in 2003, and yet again to step down from the position, he raised his rifle over his head saying, "From my cold, dead hands." This word is attributed to him till this day. Charlton Heston is greatly remembered for his unwavering support of gun rights and his influential impact as president of the National Rifle Association cannot be easily forgotten. Another noteworthy aspect of his political activism was his opposition to the Vietnam War. Also, during the Iraq War in 2003, Heston sent a message to support the American soldiers in Iraq. Interestingly, in 1969, he was approached to run for the U.S. Senate against incumbent George Murphy. However, Charlton Heston declined that opportunity, explaining that couldn't give up on acting. As he once said, "I can't remember a time when I didn't want to be an actor." Till his final farewell, Charlton Heston played the perfect role as an actor until he took his last breath. Charlton Heston passed away at age 84 on April 5, 2008, with his wife of 64 years, Lydia Clark, beside him. He was survived by 2 children, Fraser and Holly. Heston's death marked a significant loss to the film industry, with Richard Corliss writing in Time magazine, "From start to finish, Heston was a grand, ornery anachronism, the the sinewy symbol of a time when Hollywood took itself seriously, when heroes came from history books, not comic books. Renowned film critic Roger Ebert also noted that Heston made at least 3 movies that almost everybody eventually sees: Ben Hur, The 10 Commandments, and Planet of the Apes. Even after Heston's passing, his legacy endured. On April 17, 2010, Heston was inducted into the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum's Hall of Great Western Performers. But that is not all. In Heston's childhood hometown of St. Helen, Michigan, Charlton Heston Academy opened on September 4, 2012, as a tribute to his lasting impact. Although Heston revealed in his interview with Jennings that he was not scared of the Alzheimer's diagnosis, he, however, expressed concerns about the impact of the disease on his wife and the rest of his family when he eventually died. Well, after Charlton Heston died, his family endured and thrived. Heston's beloved wife, Lydia, lived for 10 more years before passing away at age 95 on September 3, 2018. What do you think of Charlton Heston's incredible legacy and his final words before his passing? Let us know in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video on your screen. You won't want to miss it.